Today on Sporting Top 10, we'll be counting down the top 10 fantasy football wide receivers for the 2017 NFL season. But first, we have one honorable mention. I put T.Y. Hilton as an honorable mention because when Andrew Luck is healthy, he is one of the top receivers in the league, actually leading the league in receiving yards last year. But with the Colts' horrendous offensive line, Andrew Luck is never healthy, so that means T.Y. Hilton might have a down year, but still great talent. And on to the list. Number 10 is Dez Bryant. Now, with Ezekiel Elliott being out the first 6 games, Dak Prescott will take on more responsibility and will throw the ball more to his top target, Dez Bryant, which means more points for you. But injuries have hurt Dez Bryant's value in fantasy, but he is a solid number 2 wide receiver for your team. Number 9 is Jarvis Landry. Now, with Jay Cutler coming in, he could have a big year under Adam Gase's system. As on the Bears, he thrived one of those years. And that means the top target, Jarvis Landry, will get better balls thrown to him, and he could be your number 2 wide receiver for this season. And on to number 8. Number 8 is DeAndre Hopkins. Now, DeAndre Hopkins is always a huge red zone target and has big play ability. He has to prove himself after getting a huge contract this year. He has to prove himself even more than he has. And one thing to look out for, though, they have an iffy quarterback situation with Tom Savage and Deshaun Watson. Could be even off and on week by week. So he might not develop the chemistry, but he could be your potential number 1 wide receiver. And number 7 is A.J. Green from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, A.J. Green is one of the best deep threats in the game, which means he could rack up big points in a hurry for you. And he is the top target for the Bengals, and Andy Dalton is his quarterback. Solid, decent quarterback. And he will be a solid starter on your fantasy team for 2017. Number 6 is Brandon Cooks. Now, Brandon Cooks is the new addition to the New England Patriots, and he is going to be their top wideout. And he's going to get even more touches with recently Julian Edelman being out for the season. He's going to be a top wide receiver for your team. They still have other reliable options like Gronk and Chris Hogan to spread the field. And number 5 is Jordy Nelson from the Green Bay Packers. Now, Jordy Nelson and top quarterback Aaron Rodgers' chemistry is unmatched. They are just a great quarterback wide receiver duo. And with other threats such as Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, and new addition Marty Bennett, they could spread the field, and he's definitely a solid starter for your fans. And number 4 is Mike Evans. Now, with quarterback Jameis Winston starting to enter his prime, with Mike Evans being one of his top targets, he's going to have the ability to put up points, as he's a big red zone target who could rack up touchdowns. And with new additions at tight end with draftee O.J. Howard and Deshaun Watson to spread the field deep, Evans could be a star this year. And number 3 is Odell Beckham Jr. Now, a lot like Mike Evans, Odell Beckham Jr. has some new options that could spread the field, like Evan Ingram. And you always got to remember that Odell Beckham is a big play threat. But you got to understand, Eli is prone to the interception, which means less time in possession, but Odell's always a solid pick for your team. And number 2 is Julio Jones. Now, Julio Jones is the top target for MVP Matt Ryan, who is a gunslinger, and he will look to get him the ball to get him back to the Super Bowl. And they also have great running backs in their tandem of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, which means defenders will have to stack the box more, which leaves the receivers more likely to be open. And he has a viable number 2 option on the other side, other wideout, Mohamed Sanu, always a solid receiver too. And our number 1 is Antonio Brown. Now, Antonio Brown has top quarterback to throw to him, Ben Roethlisberger, who in the past years is not afraid to go for the big play ball. And he also has other wide receiver, Martavis Bryant, coming back off suspension from a year-long suspension a year ago, which will open the field up for AB. And AB over the past couple seasons always posts consistent numbers, giving you solid points in the teens almost every game. And he should be the top receiver taken in most drafts. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Sporting Top 10.